operations consultant. And we're going to talk about all things clarity today. I've got my wonderful guest, Shane, here, who's going to tell us about a couple of different things he's working on right now and really just talk about what are some of the most impactful ways that our journey on gaining additional clarity in what we do, life, business success, has really had an impact. So welcome to the show, Shane. Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what your journey has been up until this point.
Jesse, good to be here. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey. I came from a lot of uncertainty before, but going through the process of self development and just trying to better myself and getting my mindset right. I've gone from uncertainty and no clarity to really having a clarity of where I want to go, how I'm going to get there, and just being able to um, this may sound woohoo philosophical, but be able to believe in myself and know that I am actually capable of achieving the things that I want, regardless of the environment around me. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Having that belief in yourself is huge because I don't know in any part of my own journey where anything has really progressed without that. So we're definitely going to talk about a lot of the, kind of the stuff today, as far as what really makes those needle movers too. So tell us a little bit about where you are today. Like I know you and I both have a sales background. We worked in the same company in the past, but what are some of the kind of things that you're focusing on right now that really are making an impact in you moving forward and growing as well?
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good question. I'd say the biggest one for me is the belief of where I want to be and the fact that I already have it, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like uh, it's like the law of attraction, but on a more calculated level. It's not just talking about, hey, I'm rich or hey, I have this, that, or the other thing, but it's actually feeling what you would feel, like physically feeling it and emotionally, what you would feel if you were actually already there. That to me has made such a transformational shift in just the last several weeks that it's going to be something I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. But just a belief, man. It comes back to the belief. Like if you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right.
Mm.
And that's really the main thing is just believing and feeling that the way you would feel if you were already there. And that's when that happens, you start to behave in that light
Mm.
instead of saying, "Oh, I wish I was rich," right? Or I wish I was making $10,000 a month. You're just solidifying the fact that you're not there. So you're going to behave in that light. You're going to be in a negative mindset. You're going to be like, oh, I wish I had this, but I don't. I'm not able to do this because I don't have it. But if you start believing in the fact and saying and feeling the way you would feel if you did, you behave in that light. So instead of feeling like I don't have it, you're in a state of abundance and clarity because in creation because you're already living the way you would if you would be there. And that's not saying go spend $10,000 in a month if you're not making it,
Right.
but you behave in that light. You start taking action on opportunities. You start looking for the good in each day and the situations around you and how they can be an opportunity instead of looking and seeing all the negative. You actually become more in an abundant state and you start seeing those opportunities around you.
Yeah, 100%. I know for me that was even true just this past week where I was having some blocks in overcoming a challenge, but every time I pictured who I wanted to be, like who I envisioned myself to be, and just even just pretend to be that person, it just makes everything really work out really straight. But of course, a lot of that has to do with your level of clarity around who it is you seek to be, or the vision that you do seek to achieve for yourself, because in my experience, maybe you could speak to this as well, Shane, like the level of attachment to that vision or that idea is directly in proportion to your level of understanding of what that even is, like down to the smallest details at times. Like, you know what I mean by that?
Percent. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you have an idea of what you might want to do, then you're going to get might answers, right? So if you ask a shitty question, you're going to get it, or sorry, my language. If you ask a bad question,
It's
you're going
true.
to get a bad
Yeah.
answer, right?
Right.
If you want a better answer, more information, ask a better question. So if you know exactly what you want, you can start taking action towards that, right? If you're not 100% sure, then you're going to be all over the place. You don't know which path to go down. You don't know what to do, what not to do. So having the clarity on exactly where you want to be in 1 year, 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, then you're going to be able to start seeing that clarity in that path and you can start following it for sure.
100%. I've talked about this before, but for me, really, whether it's solving granular problems or even just life stuff, the solutions are easy when you understand where exactly you're going. And I'd love to hear some of the specific examples that have been working out for you right now, because you mentioned this is something you've been focusing on for the past couple of weeks, especially.
For sure. The biggest one for me is, I'd say, my mindset. I came from a little bit of a history lesson. I came from a not so supportive environment,
Hmm.
where I was the black sheep of the
I'm sure no
family.
one
I
can
was the
relate
one
to
that,
that. Not at all.
yeah. um, got expelled from high school, was hanging out with the wrong crowd. I was the one that was always in trouble, getting a job, getting fired. Like, just it was a downward spiral for a long time. And over the last few years, I'd say the last maybe 3 or 4 years, I've been working a lot on mindset and focusing on who I want to become, and the person I want to be in the future, the person that I want. I want to be the opposite of who I was. I want people to be able to turn around and look up to me and be like, "Hey, wow, I want to be like that person," right? So some things that I've done recently, to continue down that growth path, is I was actually on TikTok and I saw a video on manifestation, but not like, just like I said, I wish I had this, or I'm rich, I'm happy, I'm healthy, but the foundation of it, the math behind it, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Hmm.
And it goes back to what I said earlier, where if you just say the thing that you want, it's probably not going to happen, because you're just saying it, right? And again, you're solidifying the fact that you don't have it. I want $10,000 a month. You don't have it because you want it. If you had it, you wouldn't want it, right? So you're just continuously saying that you don't have it, which is attracting that space, that reality to you. Um, but once I realized, and I heard this video, and it says, don't say the thing you want, feel the thing you want. When you feel it, you become it. And it's like you already have it. Your body doesn't know the difference. Your mind doesn't know the difference between a feeling and the actual thing. It just knows what it feels, right? So it's kind of like fight or flight. If you're about to take a risk, whether it's an investment, or get into a scrap somewhere, or buy a new car, or whatever, it might try some new food. Your body doesn't know the difference between fight or flight, as I'm getting attacked by a tiger, I need to run, I'm going to die, to the opposite of, oh, this is just something new that I've tried or haven't tried before, but it's going to be good for me. It's still fight or flight. It's still fear. Your body doesn't know the difference. Same thing on this side. Your body doesn't know that the emotion is created by yourself, even though it's not in your reality yet. It only knows that, hey, I feel this emotion because of this thought. I have the $10,000. I feel like I already have it. So you start bringing that energy to you. You start seeing the opportunities that are surrounded by that thought, that pattern, that frequency, that wave, right? So that's what I've been doing recently, and it's made a huge shift. There's been some struggles with my business recently that have been frustrating, that I haven't really known how to handle them. Excuse me. And my mindset was starting to go back to, well, it's not my fault. There's nothing I can do.
Hmm.
And I started catching myself with it. I was like, okay, well, I want to get past this because it's going to elevate my business, and I'm going to push forward to the next level. So I have to start feeling. What if I feel the way I would feel if I already got there? If I pushed past these problems, if I solved them, how would I feel? How would my business look every day? How would I wake up? How would I behave each day? How would I interact with other people around me? I started doing that, and I started taking action and started realizing that the solutions had been right there in front of my face the whole time. They were just clouded by
Right.
me being in that negative set, being like, well, I don't know what to do. So it brings the clarity, because it allows you to see the path that's right in front of you. It just might be hidden based on your own thoughts and mindset. So that's the biggest thing
Hmm.
for me. And I've made strides in my business in just the last several weeks.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing too, isn't it? Because this is not a future that was, you had to really do anything to create. All it was just really understanding that it's already there. And like, what kind of impacts has that really had, like tangibly for you?
Oh, financially, number one, I've doubled my income, literally doubled. That's not an exaggeration. I have doubled it in the last 30 days, which has been extraordinary,
Nice.
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I've also had other people reach out to me, including yourself, which is amazing. I never thought I would be on a podcast, right? But it's energy, man. It's the belief that you're making a change, and those things start coming to you. Just today, I had a friend of mine text me that I actually texted first. but that I helped start her business, or
Mm.
not helped her start, but I helped get her into the online space,
Right, right,
into
right.
sales, and then she transitioned into hers. And she texted me right after, and she's like, "Oh my God, I was thinking about you an hour ago. I was going to text you." And it's like, and she said, she's like, the universe works in mysterious ways. And I'm like, what? Like that did blew my mind.
Mm.
And her and I are very close, and we do business together and things like that. So it's just financially, relationship wise, emotionally, mentally, it's changed everything. It's addicting.
Awesome.
It is. It's a good
Yeah.
addiction.
That's really cool. And I'm sure there's a
Cool.
lot to that. It's not just like one or two things, but for you really like getting into, yeah, that kind of a state where you have that level of awareness of what's going on around you. What are some of the, you know, maybe activities is the wrong word, but what are some of the techniques that you employ to really um, feel out what it is that you want to see happen, or even just gain that extra clarity around your situation in that way? Like, what are some of the techniques that you use?
100%. I love the fact that you asked that question. So I have kind of like a ritual throughout the day, and it's something that's super easily put into your life. It's not something that has to be forced, especially when you feel what it feels like when you do it. So the first thing I do when I wake up is, and I have an accountability buddy, and I send him a message, and it's actually, let me ask you a question. Have you
Yeah.
seen the clip of Steve Harvey where he's talking to a stage about how that guy called him at like 5:30 every day, and Steve Harvey would wake up, he'd be
Yeah.
like, "Hey man, I'm tired, whatever." And the other guy on the other phone had super high energy.
Yeah. Like, it's
He
going to be a
always
great
told him
day
today's
and
gonna
like
be
stuff
great.
like that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that one, that exact video. I adopted that. I've seen
Mm.
that like 10 times in a row, like back to back every day. And I was like, man, okay, why am I seeing this so much? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it because of all this stuff I was doing. And I did that.
Wait,
I
wait,
did
wait.
it
For
for 30
context,
days,
just for
every single
anybody
day.
who hasn't watched this video, I realize we're on the same page, but there's a fantastic video. You should definitely go check it out. And one of the things that Steve Harvey, masterful man of success, had had an experience of when he was younger with somebody who was speaking into his life as well. And he was on a morning talk show radio host, and he would always get up the same way that most people do, right? We're just, oh yeah, it's another day, Monday, here we go. Like very low energy, very low expectations. Just that's how you go in. But he had somebody in his life who was speaking to him, and he would call him. Was it 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, something like that?
30 on the dot. Yeah.
5:30 on the dot every single morning, saying, "Hey, Steve, it's gonna be a great day. Just want to let you know." Click, just hang up. That's all he would say. And he does this for an extended period of time. I can't remember if it's weeks or months or something like that. And Harvey, as I asked him, was like, "Hey, man, why are you calling me every day?" He's like, and he levels with him. He says, "I'm calling you because your energy is so low that there's no way you're going to be able to attract what you're wanting to until you raise your energy level." And then Shane, go ahead and finish it off for us. Like, what? How does he respond to that? And then, what difference
Yeah.
does that
So
make?
100%. So what he does is Steve Harvey the next day he sits up in his bed at 4:40 or 5:30 29. He's just sitting there. He's waiting. And he answers the call and he's like, today's going to be an absolutely great day, but he's excited about it. So he wakes up and he's like, yo, man, what's up? Steve Harvey here. Today's going to be a fantastic day. Let's rock and roll. Right. And do that. When I did that, immediately when you wake up and you're in that energy, you're awake instantly. You're instantly happy because you say it is. You don't wake up and drag yourself out of bed and slither into the bathroom and like no, you wake up, you're like, yo man, what's up? Shane Dawson here. Yo, look, today is gonna be an absolutely epic day. And you want to know why? Because I choose it to be. Today is a great
Mm-hmm.
day. There's only two kinds of days. There's good days and there's great days. And today's a great day because today I'm going to do everything in my power to be in my highest state, to bring energy to my calls, to be there for everybody. And I'm going to just be in that state all day long. Today is a fantastic day because I choose it is. When you wake up in that state, it's impossible for you to have a day that's not great because you're setting yourself up here for a fantastic start. And if you're starting in a great mood, if you're starting with great energy, you're going to behave in that light for the rest of the day. So that's how I start my day. And then throughout the day, I go for a walk. I just smile and think about all the things that I have. Think about all the places that I'm going, all the relationships I have, all the places I've come from that were on the darker side, and how much I've evolved and developed to where I am now. And there's an endless list of everybody in everyone's life that they can come up with those things of what to be grateful for, why they're excited. Even down to the most basic, I have a bed to sleep on. You may not be making $10,000 a month, but you have a bed to sleep on. Some people don't. I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. Some people don't. I'm grateful above all that I woke up today. Some people didn't, right? So going throughout the day, reminding yourself of how great it is, of everything in your life, no matter how small. Like my phone has a full battery now. Before it didn't, right? I'm able to charge my phone. And then at the end of the night, I say 10 things specifically that I'm grateful for. I sit there with my eyes closed and I say 10 things that I'm grateful for that happened that day. And it's okay if some things repeat, but it's 10 things that I'm grateful for every single day. And I do that on repeat every day. And it keeps me in the state.
Mm, nice. Yeah, and going back to what we were talking about before, it's one thing to wonder, right? Like, how do I improve my state? And really, when it comes down to it, it's just, well, if you're wondering that, then it's the answer is right there. Your level of clarity around what you need to do to enhance that is askew. And so that's a perfect example of now people watching have a level of clarity, just as you now have a level of clarity you didn't before of how to approach this level of state, which is 100% true. And I'm kind of reminding myself what you're saying as we're talking about it to come into
Yeah.
the end of the day with that intention, because that's really what it is. Like clarity is all well and good, but the clarity without the intention to act upon it is
Mhm.
not helpful. Similarly, how the intention to change without the clarity of knowing how to do so is also not very helpful. So it all comes
Mhm.
together. And I like how you tied it in with gratitude at the end too, because that's the other thing for me where when stuff seems really difficult, as it can, when there's lots of problems to solve, we forget that
Mhm.
we have problems because of previous successes, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm trying to think of a good example in what you just shared, but like something as simple as like having the phone. Like I have a phone because I am successful enough to help other people that pays for this. And wow, that all really comes together. Because that's the journey, right? A lot of people they're looking for the clarity of what number to get to, but really a lot of the clarity comes down to, and this is the advice that I hear a lot. Let me know if you feel differently, but the most successful people always reflect back on it's not about getting to a specific place. It's the clarity of understanding that it is the journey of actually doing it that and enjoying it. That is the success, not the actual metric.
100%. And one thing that on a personal level that I struggled with before is I always looked at the end game for me. I always looked at the ultimate me achieving the highest level of everything that I wanted. And what happens when you do that, you focus on the distant checkpoint, then you miss everything that leads up to it. So it's kind of like if your parents buy you a car. Yeah, it's great. They bought you a car. Or you know what? A better situation. Let's say you just walk into a university and they give you your degree.
Mm,
They just give you a piece of paper and you leave. And you're like, well, that was a waste of my time. Like I got a degree, but whatever. But imagine if you went in, you studied your ass off, you earned it, you showed up every day, and then you got it. Why do you think people throw their hat up in the air? They don't throw it up in the air because they're out of school. They throw it up in the air because they achieved something incredible and they're excited about it because they earned it. Now, I'm sure there's some people out there that are like, yay, I don't have to go to school anymore. But the purpose is they earned it. So the most exciting part is the journey. And when you
mm,
get to take a step forward and look back of how far you've come, then it becomes an incredible experience. And if you focus on not the issue that's happening today or not the thing that's a roadblock today, but look at how far you've come. If you stretch out the view, you can see how far you've come over a year. This might be a little blip on the radar or a little blip on the graph, right? I think Tony Robbins says it best. It's like people typically underestimate or overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade,
decade.
right?
Yeah.
So if you zoom out, this one thing that's maybe holding you back right now, it's nothing compared to all the incredible struggles that you've passed through and just destroyed on your way to where you are. And you're going to keep breaking through them. And you look back at this moment a year from now, you're going to be like, oh, that's nothing.
Mhm. Yeah,
Right.
100%. Yeah, and one thing I wrote down that you were mentioning earlier was how a big key to moving through that is to not just know, have the clarity of where it is you want to be, but to be in it and be emotionally connected to like feel it. Can you like unpack that a little bit more about what that really means to feel what you want, not just think or have it on your vision board or something like that?
100%, absolutely. So when I say feel, I mean use it, for example, like let's say $10,000 because that's the big thing that everybody
Sure.
wants, right? Especially when you're starting a business. If you don't have $10,000 right now per month, it's hard to create the feeling that you would have if you actually had it because you've never had it, right? So what you want to do is you want to be like, okay, what is one thing that I've achieved that I've always wanted to achieve, no matter how big or how small? How did I feel in that moment? You can go back because it's happened. You can go back into your memories and you can recreate that feeling. All you have to do is think about that moment that you achieved that great thing that you wanted. Think about that moment over and over and over again. Sometimes it takes 30 seconds, sometimes it takes a couple days, right? But you want to sit down and you want to think about that thing that made you feel amazing. And then once you get that feeling, because you will feel it, you will physically feel the feeling. You'll get a smile on your face. Maybe you'll feel giddy, like butterflies in your stomach. Maybe you'll get excited, whatever it is. That is that emotion coming back because you're thinking, you're reliving that moment. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you rethinking it and it actually happening in real time. All it knows is the emotion. Okay. Because your brain can't see what you see, right? So when you get that emotion, then what you want to do, and this is the easiest part, is then when you're holding that emotion because you can control it, you can control how long it stays. Once you have that emotion, then change the thought from the first thing that you achieved that gave you the emotion to the one that you want to achieve.
Mm,
Connect those two together and start thinking of all the things you would be doing with $10,000 a month while holding that emotion. Hold it in your stomach, in your gut, right? When you do that, then your body's going to recognize that $10,000 with the same emotion and it's going to connect the two together and you're going to start behaving in that light. You're going to feel the actual emotions that you would feel if you achieved it. Now, same as reverse effect. If you start thinking about a negative thing that made you sad or angry and then connect that to those two together, then it's definitely never going to happen. You have to feel the emotion first. Find something in your life that was extraordinary, that you loved. Connect that emotion once you have it in your gut, in your stomach. Hold that, and then change your thought process to the thing that that you got before to what you want. Once you connect those things together, you are matching those energy levels, those vibrations, those frequencies, whatever you want to call them. You are matching those two things, which means you are going to attract it. It's kind of like the gears in a like two gears with like the notches. If you have one gear that's slightly offset to the other, they're never going to
right.
spin together. They're always going to clash, right? But if you have two that are perfectly spaced, all the gears will cog together. Just it'll fit perfectly, just like that. So you're attracting the energy, you're attracting the frequency that you would feel having that accomplished goal with what you already have. So it becomes your actual reality. It becomes real because you're attracting your emotions and your feelings to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Thanks for diving deep on that too. That's even more actually than what I was thinking because I know for me the feeling of it, the emotion of it has been a big game changer, especially in the past year, but also what you're talking about with how everything synchronizes together is kind of the next level. What I was talking about for me was some of the best advice I got last year was in managing oneself. It's like, because we all do things that we know we shouldn't do, but we do them anyway. It happens to the best of us. And we all are on our own journey working through that. But one of the best pieces of advice that I got in that gave me new clarity of how to handle these kind of things was never to fight logic with or emotion with logic. Like I feel like I want to eat ice cream right now, but I know it's not good for my health. Like that's you're fighting the emotion of wanting to eat it versus the logic of not knowing. That doesn't work because we're all emotional creatures. But if you fight, the way you do it is you fight emotion with emotion. The feeling of do I want the ice cream right now, or do I want to be around in the long term for myself and my family? Ooh, now all of a sudden that's a different level of decision making, and that's the way to do it. Whether it's getting up in the morning or doing the hard work that's going to get you the $10,000 a month or $1 million business or $10 million business. Each of those will have their own level, but guess what? It's the same problem solving process, right? So it's the emotion, the feeling of not, oh, do I need to do these 10 activities a day? Like, what is the feeling of having it and not having it? that really is the needle mover as far as actually doing the thing. You know what I mean?
100%. Humans are emotional creatures. We make decisions based on emotion and we justify the decision later with logic.
Yeah.
So and like you said, I agree with you 100%. And it could be something as simple as eating ice cream, right? I feel like I want it because it tastes good. But if you think about, am I going to be around long term for my family? It may not happen tomorrow, but eventually it will take a toll on your health. And even something in the short term, right? Like, do I want to go to the bar tonight with the boys instead of working on my business and spending a couple hours doing that? Yes, emotionally you may want to go because it's fun. You don't want to miss out on things. But what's your tomorrow going to look like? Are you going to wake up fully ready to rock it in your business? No. You're probably going to be hungover. You're probably going to be able to barely even be able to move for 3 days, right? So even in the short term, what's the emotion going to be for every decision you make? And that doesn't mean like you can't have a chocolate bar. It doesn't mean you can't have some ice
Right.
cream. It doesn't mean you can't go out with friends. It can't doesn't mean you can't have fun. It means when you're going to make a decision, think about how it's going to affect you internally and emotionally first, and don't try to fight it with logic, because if you try to fight it with logic, it's going to lose every time, right? It's like fighting
Yeah.
fire with fire. Nothing's going to happen except it's logic and motion.
That's actually a really important point to touch on just for a second when it comes to what clarity actually is. Because to me, clarity is the full picture, not just the logical side, not just the today and next week side, but all of it all together. Because one of the things I've been noticing, even just in my own problem solving process, is sometimes the time horizon is the difference maker. Like if because and the way I remind myself about this is nobody gets fit in 2 weeks, right? You could be doing all the right things, but nobody gets fit in 2 weeks. It doesn't mean you're doing the wrong activities or you should change what your approach is. Sometimes you just need to give it 6 weeks or 12 weeks, even, like in this one example. But when it comes to like health and stuff like that, we're talking about decades. And that's a much larger time to conceive and have clarity over. Because that's really the thing is somebody who is making a decision, oh, I'm going to go out with the boys tonight, is doesn't have the full clarity because one, they're not being intentional about it, but two, the time horizon is so short that maybe in the short term, it does look like it's a good decision. But if you have the full context, well, all of a sudden it's not that you can't have fun. It's not that you have to be told what to do. It's that you were missing the full picture before, and now you have it. And then that is when you decide. Because I would rather somebody choose to eat ice cream knowing that I understand it's not good for me, but I know in the long run that in this moment, I'm okay with that, rather than just choosing it to because they feel like it in the moment and regretting it later. Because at the end of the day, life is all about choices. There's not just like all the good things and all the bad things you can do. It's decision means to cut off, right? Decision
Yep.
means I'm going to do this and let go of these other things. And it's about what we
Mhm.
create for ourselves. And I think that that's why clarity is so important, because then we're making that decision as, effectively and accurately as possible.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, it's been really great having you on, and thank you for speaking to what's been going on with your life right now. I took a couple of notes for myself because I think this is so important. But just wanted to again thank you for having on. Just for anybody who's watching who really loves what you have to say as well and wants to connect with you, what's kind of the best way for them to reach out and really make a connection?
Absolutely. I'd love to connect with people, and I'm glad that I brought some value, and I'm excited to potentially, maybe be back one day.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, the best way to contact me, I don't really use social media very much. I do have a LinkedIn account, but it hasn't been touched in years. So if anybody goes on there, I don't know what you're going to see, but just ignore it and go straight to my email.
There we go.
My
Email.
email is in there, and that's the best way to contact me. And just if you decide to send me an email, just let me know in the subject or the body of the email that you saw me from here, so I know it's actually you, whoever might be checking me out. And I'm happy to connect anytime.
100%. Cool. Well, I'll be the middleman too if there's any other conversations that need to happen in the meantime, and we will definitely be having Shane back on in the future. But otherwise, that is all good for today. Hope everybody enjoyed, and we'll see you all again next time. Take care.